Hello and welcome to the National Baseball League. This is today's recaps. I get to do a little early, so you're seeing these around 9 o'clock, but I have them right here. So this is the games for today, June 15th. We'll go top to bottom, left to right. We'll start with the Utah Raptors and the Portland Anchors. So for Portland, pretty close game here with the Utah Raptors, with the Anchors here. It's a really close game, and they get 10 runs here. Utah is able to hold them to just 2. They get 10 hits here. Utah holds them to 2 runs. Raptors, they do commit an error, but they have one more base hit, and they score 1 more runs, and it gives them a win. Could have been an extra innings win, and they take a 1-0 series lead in Utah. Then we head over to the Orlando Ocean. Then we head over to the Oakland Ocean, being hosted by the Orlando Sunrays. I just said Orlando Ocean. But I already have an Orlando Ocean. That's hockey. I'm not doing hockey this year. I'm doing baseball. That's my hockey league. I have the Orlando Ocean. It sounds weird since I haven't said it in so long. So the Orlando Sunrays here, 8 runs, 8 hits. Very solid game for the Sunrays. Offensively, perfect. If you can get more runs than hits, you've done a good job. You've done basically a perfect game offensively if you're scoring more than you're hitting, and you win the game. And they're defensively, they do give up quite a bit to the Ocean, but for Oakland, they get the same 8 hits. They commit 2 errors, so that's probably detrimental to this game. Those 2 errors that probably hurt them quite a bit. They're only able to score 3 runs, so on 8 hits and 2 errors. So despite having the same amount of hits, they couldn't bring the runners home, and it caused them to lose the game. The Sunrays have a 1-0 series lead. Then we head to the Battle of Montreal and Toronto, the Battle of Ontario, the Expos and the Huskies. I thought they will play again, like next month, so I'll cover that series. I won't cover this one. Montreal Expos here, they were laying up. This was an awful game for the Expos. They scored 7 runs on 13 hits in there. If I just say that sounds pretty good. Their pitching staff decided to say, we're going to take the night off. And the Huskies, they beat them to the ground. 16 runs, 16 hits. The Toronto Huskies, I know, every so often they just will blow out. Their blowout wins look like this. The runs are 15 or more. They did give up quite a bit to the Expos, but it's nowhere near enough. Final score 16-7 over the Expos. 16 hits for the Huskies, 13 hits for the Montreal Expos. 1 error for the Expos that always hurts their team. And the Huskies take a commanding 1-0 series lead. Over to the New Orleans Gators and the Tampa Bay Titans in New Orleans. So the Gators playing a close game with the Titans played off this series. And the Titans, they don't get as many hits, but they edge out and they get more runs and they win the game. Just enough to get the win. Their offense saved them in this game as they give up 3 runs, 10 hits. But the Gators do commit an error. That might have been what gave the Titans the win. It says New Orleans leads. That's wrong. We go TB. That's better. So the Titans lead 1-0 in the series. Then we headed over to downtown Manhattan with the New York Sailors and the New York Knights. No, they're not playing the Knights. The New York Sailors and the Albuquerque Aliens. So the Aliens in the Northeast playing the Sailors. A 3-1 win, so Albuquerque, now they're starting to win games. They have swept the San Diego Seals, and this is their 4th win in a row over the New York Sailors. 4 wins in a row for the Albuquerque Aliens. And the New York Sailors, their offense really struggled in this game. 1 run, 3 hits. They do commit in errors, and that probably sealed it for the Aliens. Aliens lead 1-0 in this series. They went over to Vegas and San Francisco. Geographically not close to this. It would have been smart to cover this, but I'm going to be covering the New York Knights and Detroit Motors, I think. New York Knights, not the Motors. No. New York Knights and the Vancouver Grizzlies. That's who I'm covering. I'm covering that tomorrow. But anyway, the Las Vegas Gamblers shut out. They had 6 hits. They couldn't do a thing. They give up 6 runs, 8 hits to the San Francisco Firebirds. No errors out of the team. Firebirds, great job pitching-wise here. Great job pitching-wise. They shut out the Las Vegas Gamblers, and they take a 1-0 series lead. They went down to downtown Columbus, and I'm very happy with this result. The Aviators win 4-1 over the Philadelphia Liberty. 4 runs, 8 hits for Columbus. Fantastic job here. Offensively, they shut down. They not only scored a good amount of runs, they shut down the Liberty defensively. Fantastic job on the defense here. 4-1. They do give up 7 hits, but they don't allow the runs to come home. The Liberty committed an error. Helps the Aviators. Columbus leads 1-0. Love this. Then we head over to the Houston Cosmos and the St. Louis Stars in the Cosmodome. Pretty close game between the 2 teams. The Houston Cosmos with a 4-3 win, so they just get the edge over. 9 hits for Houston, 7 hits for St. Louis. The Stars here, almost a very close game, and they just lose it. This could be a very close series, we'll see, but Cosmos lead 1-0. Final game at this point, then we got another one after this. Cincinnati Stingers hosting the Boston Whalers. So the Stingers' defense, their pitching and fielding, they struggled. 7 runs, 9 hits, and the Stingers do commit an error. And they score 4 runs and 6 hits. The bats were there, they couldn't stop the bleeding. And the Whalers win 7-4. And they lead the series 1-0, so we'll move to board number 2. Here's board number 2. So, left to right, top to bottom, here we go. Washington Monuments and the Detroit Motors. So the Monuments have just lost 4 straight games to the Philadelphia Liberty. This is how you come back. 7-1 win over the Detroit Motors. So, they blow up the Motors. They hold them to one run on 4 hits, no errors. 7 runs on 10 hits for the Monuments. Good. This is good for their morale. This is good for all that type of stuff. This is that win that makes you feel good about yourself. For the Motors, some tough pitching possibly could cause this. It's not of the biggest concern. But if this trend line continues for the Motors in this series and beyond, then there will be some concern. The way to the New York Knights and the Vancouver Grizzlies, I'll be covering Game 2 tomorrow of this series. So the Knights and the Grizzlies, they go head-to-head. They go hard-head, and this is going to make it a really interesting game for tomorrow. The Vancouver Grizzlies, 14 hits in an error. They scored 6 runs. They just get hit after hit after hit after hit. But before they bring a lot of them home, the inning would end. New York Knights, somewhat there, not as much, not as obvious, but 5 runs on 9 hits, no errors. Grizzlies, they commit an error, and they still outscore them 6-5. The Grizzlies, a lucky win over the New York Knights. They lead the series 1-0. Then we head down to Texas. The Texas Twisters and the San Diego Seals. So the Seals, who have just been swept by the Portland Anchors, they lost all 3 games. Similar to Washington, they unload on the Texas Twisters. Even more than Washington did. 12 runs, 17 hits. They do come in an error, but it doesn't matter. And the Twisters, they just a measly 3 runs, 6 hits. In comparison, that's nothing. So the Seals, they just run away with it and they win in double digits. So very good win for the Seals. It's like relief. That's kind of what similar. Just wow, we won a game by a big margin. Feels good. It just every once in a while, when your team wins a game like this, it feels good. So they get the win. They win the series 1-0. Then we get down to the Edmonton Eagles and the Minnesota Northern Lights. In an outcome. Okay, maybe that was since I did yesterday's games today as well. After this tomorrow morning, I'm going to do another power rankings. So, because I do them about weekly, just to see where teams are. So the Edmonton Eagles, a very close battle between them and the Minnesota Northern Lights. So the Northern Lights here, they fought hard. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Edmonton, they fought just as hard. 9 hits, no errors. So Edmonton they gained the edge here. 4-3 win over the Northern Lights. It's going to be interesting to see what the results for game 2 and 3 are. Edmonton Eagles lead the series 1-0. They went over to the Seattle Sasquatch and the Chicago Railers. In Seattle, these two teams, oh boy, they're not in the same division, but they just have the craziest game. So, Seattle here, 3 runs, 9 hits. It looks like they should have won this. But their pitching staff says, how about now? We're gonna fail. I mean, maybe it's the wrong starter. Maybe it's a bad start. Possibly some bad bullpen pitchers. But yeah, they blew this game. And the Railers, they took advantage. They won 4-3, 4 runs, 11 hits. And they, despite the one Chicago Railers error, they still won the game 4-3, and they take a 1-0 series lead. Final game for today. The Atlanta Arrows and the Memphis Blues. Arrows, this is a very close game. I covered it. It was a very boring game overall. And then the 8th inning happened. The Arrows, they squeak 1 run by the Memphis Blues. And then their closer, fantastic job finishing off the Memphis Blues in the 9th. 3 hits each team. Arrows with just the 1 run, no errors. That's a way to start the series. This series will be next time they play. I want to cover at least one more game, maybe if not 2, because this is going to be these two teams. This series will always be entertaining. Same division, and the geographical closeness. They're not going to like each other. They will not like each other one bit. It was some entertaining just because the at-bats were so long. Every at-bat was like a mini war. It was like a battle to a war. It was fantastic. So, the Arrows won 1-0. And the series 1-0. That does it for this. See ya. Goodbye.